Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at a fresh release from Bachmann. It is the ACS-64. This is an electric locomotive that runs mostly on Amtrak and Septa. We're going to be looking at all the different schemes available today. This is equipped with DCC and sound, but for the first time, Bachmann and TCS WOWSound have teamed up to be the sound in this locomotive. So we'll get this unboxed and see what you get next for an MSRP of $359. Now I mentioned MSRP, but the prices available at dealers are typically around the $200 mark. I know there's some newcomers to the hobby that get confused with MSRP and they think, wow, that is up there. But just like with several items, you get discounts. Now, quick start guide, Bachmann catalog request, exploded parts diagram, and 1-year warranty are all in the paperwork in the box. In the actual container here, you've got the ACS-64. There are some side foam tape jobs going on here, so I will just lift those out. Alright, well protected locomotive. Let's see what's in the box. Alright, so this is a Siemens locomotive. That is the company that created this beautiful locomotive that's fairly new to the rails. You got the Salutes Our Veterans, America's Railroad Salutes Our Veterans scheme on this one, but some other schemes to look at as well. But this will be the one that I point the details out on, so being a little unfamiliar with diesel locomotives, please bear with me. On the front, you have operating ditch lights, interior cab detail, number boards up top with headlight, and between the number boards, windshield wipers look nicely detailed and thin. Easy mate coupler from Bachmann. It's a plastic spring mounted coupler with a magnetic glad hand. Accessory hoses coming off the front of the pilot here, along with, I believe, MU receptacles on both ends there. Amtrak logo dead center. Along the side you have a cab mirror. Again, I mentioned cab interior detail, and they have that. Roof is packed with detail. We'll get to that later. You do have nice truck detail and a lot of fuel tank detail, or not fuel tank, what am I thinking here? It must be a generator detail on the side here. Get in an automatic mode from all the diesel locomotives. Everything's clear and legible, including the jobs.amtrak.com, because it talks about career opportunities as they're advertising to get hires. ACS-64 is right there at the tip of my pointer. And nice blue star field at the bottom there. Looking at the other end, what you have is an exact replica. It's a dual cab locomotive, so should have both, pretty much the same thing on both sides. Got the American flag there on the side. Looks like some sort of port there, separately applied grab irons. And I did miss on the other end that there are separately applied grab irons under the windshield that are metal, but more of the same outside of that. Now we're going to go to a rooftop view so you can see all the details going on the roof. Try to use the top-down approach here, but on each end, again duplicated, you've got the AC unit for the cab along with some electrical conduit, and then you've got the sprung diaphragms, which do pop up into position like so. And you have more electrical conduit going from one diaphragm to the other. You have bi-directional horns, duplicated. Some other electrical parts and pieces, I believe capacitors and maybe a flux capacitor. Just kidding. Back to the Future fans only get that. But that's how you have the sprung diaphragms. They come up and go down into position fairly easily with a lot of roof detail. The conduit, if that's what it is, looks nice and straight and even, and all the parts and pieces look durable. Up on the top, You do have these vents along the sides as well. So a really nice detailed locomotive from Bachmann here. I'm all about unique views that you might not be able to find other places on the internet. So here is the bottom and the new DCC and Sound logo with the WOWSound logo. Sound coming out of that center area there. We'll see how that does, and along with a bunch of separately applied parts and pieces on the underside, so a lot of underbody detail as well, including parts and pieces attached to this battery box, if I'm calling that correctly. There's also a small switch here. Might be for DC and DCC operation differences. I have not checked that yet. You have the indents in the wheels even, which are accurate for the real thing. All these little areas here, you see the little holes on the outer edge of the wheels, or indented circles. So pretty cool overall. I gotta do my homework on what all that does, but today's not the day as I'm recovering from a layout shortage, a short on the layout, and as well as a DCC system problem. So I've been really having issues with command and control on this layout. Alright, here's the Septa scheme. I'm just going to go and do a 360. One thing I didn't mention was the separately applied metal grab irons for the door on each side of both doors on both sides. If that makes any sense, but the metal grab irons really stick out more on this one, as I'm really busy looking at the cool scheme of the Salute Our Veterans unit. But there is the Septa version. Regular Amtrak version here. Big Amtrak logo along the side. Nice gray metallic appearance. Doesn't have the super shiny metallic appearance. I don't think that would be accurate anyway, so looking good here on the Amtrak version, but more of the same in terms of detail, so no need to take up any more time in terms of that. Last but certainly not least is this beautiful scheme, which is the demo scheme. As you can see, Siemens on the side, maybe it's Siemens, in terms of the creator of these locomotives, the American flag and the Amtrak logo. So this was the one that was out and about testing a lot. More of the same detail. It looks like this conduit might be brass, I'm not sure about that, but pretty cool. Or that metal rod, I should say, connecting or going from one diaphragm to the other. I'm calling it conduit all the time and I'm wrong. That's going to make somebody cringe every time probably. But anyway, there is the last scheme, this demonstrator scheme. So let's finally get into operation and see what it sounds like and how it runs. Alright, this is a little different, so I definitely want you to see this. This is the WOWSound locomotive function mappings. A little different, a little unorthodox. So we will be going through some of these sounds so you can hear what's going on. But overall, just there are different pages, so you have to hit the F8 button a certain amount of times to get to the other pages. If you want to see this in more detail, I suggest you go to their website or just pause this on the highest level of definition to see what's going on. Alright, I'm going to apply track power. There's the startup. Go ahead and check headlight operation just to make sure everything's working here. Alright, here's the bell. You do get oscillating ditch lights with the bell. Lights have a slight hint of blue, but nothing too bad. F2 horn. Again, operates the ditch lights with that. Sounds really good. F3 is short horn. F4 is the whoosh sound. F5 just blinks the ditch lights. A separate thing altogether. F6 does the startup and shutdown. You already heard the startup. Now that sound right there is actually a random sound that activates of the locomotive flying by a point, kind of like the Doppler effect. F7 dims the headlight. F8 does mute. If you press it once, twice it'll rotate to light and sound mode, or 4 times goes to audio assist.
Night mode active.
There, I just switched to night mode.
Function page 2.
Then I hit it double. So I hit it double to change to night mode, and then double again to hit the function page 2. So we'll listen to pantograph raise and lower. Coupler close. Coupler release. Brake release. Might be when you move here. F5 is apply brakes. F6 is momentum. F7 is crew alert. So again, F8 will bring you to page 3 or back to 1 depending if you double press or not.
Function page 3.
So when it gives you that audio feedback so you can hear what's going on, here's the grade crossing quill on F0. Sounds really good. Reverse quill and forward quill on F1 and F2. So forward quill is F1. F2 reverse quill. F3 is stop horn. So it even has sounds like windshield wipers on F5. Station announcements on F6.
May I have your attention, please? Now departing on track 3, northbound train number 190. Last call for train number 190 on track 3. All aboard!
F7 station announcements. Arriving.
Now arriving on track 1, southbound train number 151. Please stand behind the yellow safety line as the train approaches the platform. Only ticketed passengers will be allowed to board the train.
Function page 1.
And hitting F8 twice again in a row will get you back to page 1. So those are almost all of the sounds, and it sounds really good coming from a singular point of that one speaker underneath center of the battery box, I believe it is. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but underneath the center of the locomotive it sounds really good. We're going to now move this and see how smooth it is and go from there. Just noticed a lighting effect before we go any further, and that is when you're faced the opposite direction. This area, these two areas here, actually light up red. You can see it a little better as I try to block some light out as the rear marker light. So a lot of lighting functions in this from TCS WOWSound. Alright, here we go at 1 of 128 speed steps. Fairly smooth, slight lurch at 1, hasn't been broken in at all. 2. Three. Starting to really smooth out by that point. 4. There's 5. Definitely completely smoothed out by 5. We go in reverse here. You hear the prime mover spool up a little bit. If you call that a prime mover in the diesel, in the electric locomotives. There's one in reverse. You can see slight hesitation there. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So moving along pretty good there. I'll go ahead and spin it up to speed a little bit so you can see it really gets going. And you hear it really spool up as well. Alright, that should give you a good view of the pull test here. We're going to get this moving. We got about 2.9, 2.8. So it would be freight cars, it would be about 45, but this is a passenger locomotive. So you're talking about at least a good 30 passenger cars, as long as they aren't something that are sticks in the mud and don't want to move. Provide a little contrast for coupler height check. You be the judge, but it appears to be dead on. Other side. Maybe a smidgen low, but pretty much dead on there too. Get a random sampling, we will switch to another locomotive. Wheel gauges are, wheels are all engaged, What do we got going on here? Yep, engage. For a second I thought it was out, but it is engaged on all the wheel sets. Checking weight here, got 0.475 kilograms, that's just slightly over a pound. 1 pound, 0.8 ounces, 16.8 ounces total, 475 grams. Alright, as you can hear, there's some sounds there. I want to show you the capacitor built in. Pull that off. Still going for quite a while. You see the lights there? There it goes. Finally, capacitor will ensure that any dirty track interruptions, maybe dropped feeds on the track where electricity or DCC is not going too well to that area, it'll be able to travel smoothly through that area without any problems. Well, that's going to wrap up my review of the Bachmann ACS-64. A great model. Bachmann definitely knocked this one out of the park by providing a unique locomotive and pairing up with TCS WOWSound for some great sound. And I think both of those entities together really wanted to deliver a good product here, and I think they definitely met their goal. So I'm going to leave you with a run-by of just a power move of these, because I don't have any Amtrak passenger cars readily available to have it in the run-by, but we'll see you next time right here on my channel. Take care.